Developing now, a man accused of more than a dozen burglaries across South Florida has been arrested.
In one case, police say he targeted a couple leaving the Aventura Mall. Local 10's Terrell.
Okay, so a man wanted in a dozen robberies, burglaries. This is what I tell you guys often is your charges aren't all your crimes. Okay? And this is something that liberals and hoteps try to, they're anti-government, they're anti-system, they're anti-criminal justice system. But, hey, Pookie only been charged with 3 robberies. You don't know if he did 12. The system didn't charge him with those, with 3. They didn't charge him with those other 9. So it's like, look, the guys that out here running up on you, putting a gun to your head, taking your car, they're driving off laughing. The guys having shootouts, brazen shootouts, broad daylight, hanging out the window of the car. I don't care how many charges they got on their resume. They've done much more than that. Okay? Much more. You don't get caught for but 10% of what you do. And some people only get caught for 1% of what they do. Okay? Yeah, there's some idiot criminals out here. Bad luck criminals. That may get caught at a higher percentage. But most of the stuff you do, you don't get caught for. And these guys still have records as long as CVS receipts.
Developing now, a man accused of more than a dozen burglaries across South Florida has been arrested.
In one case, police say he targeted a couple leaving the Aventura Mall. Local 10's Terrell Forney is live with more. Terrell.
Well, it's taken nearly 2 months to get to this point, but finally there's been a very big break in this case. A second arrest following an armed robbery that happened here at Aventura Mall. Let's show you the man that is now in custody. His name is Andrew Mitchell. He's 22 years old. This is a file mugshot from a previous arrest, but he was picked up just today with the assistance of the U.S. Marshal's office. But just a few minutes ago, Mitchell was actually booked into a Miami-Dade County jail, and only Local 10 was there as law enforcement officers arrived with him at TGK to have him processed at that jail for a series of felony charges against him. But let's take you back to the beginning, October 24th. In this surveillance video, a married couple was enjoying their day shopping at Aventura Mall, even eating at a restaurant here. Little did they know they were actually being stalked by 2 men interested in their jewelry. The suspects followed them to their car in the Nordstrom parking garage and then robbed them at gunpoint, making off with a gold Cuban link necklace valued at about $9,000.
Okay. So our buddy walks up on these people in a parking lot. What if you're in one of these other cars and you just happen to be getting out at that time? What if you're driving in the parking lot looking for a parking space or trying to get out the parking lot? There's no care. There's nothing that, no inhibitions, no cut cards. Okay? You ain't got no cut cards. Anytime, any place, like Janet Jackson used to say. So, we're talking about people who are reigning terror because this is terror on these people. These people will look over their shoulders. These people, when they see some men, when they're walking, remember, anybody from my age, 40 or so, remembers, man, they be looking at me funny when I get in the elevator, man. They always looking at me as some man funny when you're in a parking deck, man. Well, You look at other something funny, and you can't blame these people. We're in a stage where these criminal sunmen, this small group of sunmen, when you take the whole collective, they're a relatively small group of sunmen, are going to make people start profiling harder than they ever did. Because before, when we accused people of profiling, it was just basically whining and complaining and trying to get a hug from pasty liberals. Now, people are going to be like, look, I have to profile. Do you see what's going on in the streets? Of course I profile. They're not going to back down and give you a pasty liberal hug because you whining about something that doesn't affect you, because the ones that's whining about being profiled are like college educated type brothers. These brothers right here, they too busy robbing people. They ain't got time to show up at the protest unless they're going to rob somebody at the protest.
But let's take you back to the beginning, October 24th. In this surveillance video, a married couple was enjoying their day shopping at Aventura Mall.
You see him stalking them the entire time? Situational awareness, which of course this guy's probably on his phone. He's walking with his baby and his wife. He's protecting their immediate space. But he's not looking. Why just everywhere we go, is this guy, well, he may be going to the parking deck. So I could see that. They probably were thinking, maybe he's going to the parking deck too. But you still have to have situational awareness. If you feel something, you might want to slow down, let him go ahead of you, and see if he does that. Like stop, on your phone. Like, hold on, baby, I got to make a call. And just see what he does. Don't be afraid of looking weird. Like, oh my God, like, we look strange just stopping right here. No, you're in public. He may rob you right here. He may blow your head off right here and run away laughing. But it's less likely than it is in the parking deck.
But let's take you back to the beginning, October 24th. In this surveillance video, a married couple was enjoying their day shopping at Aventura Mall, even eating at a restaurant here. Little did they know they were actually being stalked by two men interested in their jewelry. The suspects followed them to their car in the Nordstrom parking garage and then robbed them at gunpoint, making off with a gold Cuban link necklace valued at about $9,000. The victims were shaken up, but they were not injured. Well, last month, Aventura police arrested one of the men that they believe was involved. His name, Joshua Underwood, charging him with 2 counts of robbery with a firearm, conspiracy to commit armed robbery, and accessory after the fact. Well, fast forward.
This be's the other guy. This one guy, and this the other guy. So, yeah. I mean, Joshua out here doing this thing. No one ever said that gliders don't commit crimes. No one ever said that. They commit plenty of crimes. However, they make up 60% of the country. They should commit the majority of the crimes. They don't. Not even close. And then when you take it a step further past crime into murder, it's crazy. So I'm not shocked that this guy was out here robbing people. Not at all. Not at all.
Aventura police arrested one of the men that they believe was involved. His name, Joshua Underwood, charging him with 2 counts of robbery with a firearm, conspiracy to commit armed robbery, and accessory after the fact. Well, fast forward to today, 1 month later, detectives now believe that they have the actual gunman in that armed robbery in custody with the arrest of Andrew Mitchell. He, according to detectives, is being linked to as many as 16 burglaries against businesses throughout multiple counties across South Florida. So he was a wanted man. But police, again, they believe that they have the gunman to this very frightening armed robbery in custody. He is being booked right now at TGK. Reporting live from Aventura, I'm Terrell Forney, Local 10 News.
Terrell.
Well, right now we're hearing from a man arrested after a paintball shooting.
It all started with drivers doing donuts in downtown Miami that led to a massive brawl and shots fired. Local 10 News reporter Trent Kelly joins us live from downtown Miami.
And in fact, he spoke exclusively with this suspect. What did he have to say for himself?
Well, Christy and Janice, that big brawl broke out while most people were sleeping over the weekend right here in the middle of busy Biscayne Boulevard. In fact, you can still see some tire marks left behind. Police later arresting Calix Green out of Miramar for allegedly shooting a woman in the face with a paintball gun while all of that was going on. Green sitting down with Local 10 today, insisting he did not do it, as we see new video of this massive melee.
City of Miami did not do a thorough investigation. They did not care.
39-year-old Calix Green speaking exclusively with the one and only one day after he was arrested by Miami police for allegedly shooting a woman in the face with a paintball gun following this massive brawl on Biscayne Boulevard early Sunday. That fight ending with shots fired.
What they're alleging is not true. I'm not the person that fired no paintball.
And if you believe him too, if you don't. Who believes this? And don't say what you think. You don't know what I think. I'm just asking you guys. Who believes him?
Year-old Calix Green speaking exclusively with the one and only one day after he was arrested by Miami police for allegedly shooting a woman in the face with a paintball gun following this massive brawl on Biscayne Boulevard early Sunday. That fight ending with shots fired.
What they're alleging is not true. I'm not the person that fired no paintball.
Chaotic scene recorded by residents in nearby high-rises. It all happened Sunday just after 3:30 in the morning as multiple drivers were doing donuts. Police responding to a report of shots fired near Biscayne Boulevard and Northeast 9th Street. But while heading to that scene, officers say they were flagged down by a woman who was struck in the face by a paintball. Her car also hit with several paintballs and bullets. Police later arresting Calix after the victim identified him as the paintball shooter. Detectives also finding paintballs in his car, which officers pulled over some 20 blocks away.
I wanted to believe the brother. I wanted to believe this brother, man. I wanted to, man. I wanted to, man. I was like, all right. Maybe this brother didn't do it, man. I wanted to believe him. That maybe they just put a bunch of Sunman Miami residents' names in a hat, stuck their hand in the hat, swiveled their fingers around, and plucked his name out. I wanted to believe that that's what happened. But the probability of him also having paintballs in his car, and I know there's a lawyer out there that can beat this. I know there is. However, I'm just going by what I think. This is not illegal. I'm not looking at this legal. I'm just going by what I think. I think he did it, man.
Police later arresting Calix after the victim identified him as the paintball shooter. Detectives also finding paintballs in his car, which officers pulled over some 20 blocks away.
I do a lot of little paintball events and stuff like that with my guys, so that's why the paintballs were inside the vehicle.
While Green maintains his innocence, Local 10 obtained these videos from the scene, appearing to show another man firing a paintball gun at a nearby high-rise right before that fight. Green's.
All right, so we got this glider up there shooting paintball. Maybe he's a glider. Maybe he's maybe he's a glacier hombrito. Who knows? But this guy is out there firing paintballs at the high rise. What a jerk, man. People live in those things. We're just going to shoot up there. And if someone come outside and blew his brains out, I'm sure his mom would be on TV crying. She wouldn't get no justice, though. Because he a glider. No one would care. There would be no outrage. So these are the ones that you can't come outside. You can't use your 2A rights against him. So he better watch out. Because citizens see him doing this. They're like, oh, good. I ain't got to worry about picket signs, people doxing me, people outside of my house protesting. They quickly jump on you. You a glider. Nobody cares about you. You better be good, man. You little glider teens. You little glider menaces to society. People will smoke you quick.
While Green maintains his innocence, Local 10 obtained these videos from the scene, appearing to show another man firing a paintball gun at a nearby high-rise right before that fight. Green says he was there simply to spectate and insists police got the wrong guy.
On the A form, which is public records, it states that it's a young 20-year-old light-skinned male. If you look at me, I do not look like a young 20-year-old light-skinned male.
Okay, so this guy's light-skinned, man. He's not a glider. Maybe he's a sun glider. He got his pants sagging. So we're just gonna call him a sun glider. Okay. And they picked up the wrong guy. That wrong guy also happened to have paintballs in his car. Are paintballs that common down there in Florida? Like, what's the probability? Like, you pull over 10 cars, 5 of them gonna have paintballs? I mean, come on. I don't think the cops did anything wrong. If this guy didn't do it, I'm sure there's footage, more footage. If not, you're just a victim of circumstance. Oh, well.
Now, we did reach out to Miami police today about Mr. Green's concerns, but so far we have yet to hear back. As for the victim in this case, we're told she suffered minor injuries during all of that and refused treatment from firefighters at the scene. Green now facing multiple charges, including battery and aggravated assault, all of which he says he now plans to fight in court. For now, that's the latest live from downtown Miami. I'm Trent Kelly, Local 10 News.
He is certainly adamant about his innocence. Okay, thanks so much.
Living on Miami Beach who are sick of all the crime and craziness will soon be able to do something about it.
A civilian volunteer patrol will soon be hitting the streets with full support of the city. Local 10's Christian De La Rosa is live to show us how that's going to work. Christian.
Well, you said it, Christy, has unanimous support from the City Commission, also the Miami Beach Police Department, but there are some who have raised concerns. Does this open the door to a potential armed vigilante situation? A commissioner spoke to the one and only to address those concerns tonight.
Man, look, you see what's going on in those areas, man, down there in that Miami, greater Dade County area. I mean, it's just complete, like, same thing that's going on everywhere else. And this is not vigilantism. This is people who had the police ask for them to be defunded. They had criminals that were, operating at a certain level of debauchery and brazenness. And they entitled those criminals, and now their debauchery, brazenness, and just wickedness is going through the roof. So the people basically asked for this. And now they have it. So now they're trying to do something about it. I don't call this vigilantism, but I do call this that if you didn't want, if police who you know the chief, you know the mayor, you know who's in charge of the chain of command. If the police were, out just to hunt Sunmen, and now we know that Sunmen are doing all this crime, most of this crime, the majority of this crime, everywhere you go. And you have a private security team. Are they not there to hunt Sunmen? And what happens when one of these guys shoots a Sunman? What happens when one of these guys has to punch a Sunman? What happens when one of these guys has to trip up a Sunman who's running away from the scene of a crime? What happens when these guys has to tackle a Sunman on the concrete? What happens when one of these guys gets in a fight with one of these, serious Sunmen? Say he's off PCP or something. And he has to use a chokehold. I mean, what happens? Because you guys were telling us, all citizens, not just you liberals, you spoke for us all. You soulless, spineless liberals, you spoke for everybody. You didn't just speak for yourselves. You said, we don't want police. Because they're out to kill Sunmen. And that's all they do. Run around and kill Sunmen. Well, now your police that you're assembling, what do you call it? Your team of faux or quasi policemen, what happens? They don't care. They just want to be safe. They don't care. They just want to be safe. They could give a darn about the Sunman now. They want safety. They don't care what happens to the Sunman. In the clutches of these private firms or these patrol teams. They don't care. They don't care about Trayvon Martin. No, Trayvon, this Martin. They don't care. They just want to be safe from you.
Does this open the door to a potential armed vigilante situation? A commissioner spoke to the one and only to address those concerns tonight. The city of Miami Beach is calling on volunteers to help fight crime. This is the online application to the new Civilian Volunteer Patrol Program.
But this is an extra eyes and ears on the street.
City Commissioner Stephen Miner came up with the idea in response to the out-of-control misbehavior and deadly crime waves seen in Miami Beach in recent years.
They do not have arrest powers. They do not engage in criminal activity. They do not carry weapons. But they will have direct communication with our police department, with code enforcement.
So they're citizens and they don't have direct arrest power. But do they have the ability to make a citizen's arrest? They won't have weapons. Okay, so since they won't have weapons, can they pursue to keep an eye on the suspect? So the suspects go, this sounds like a George Zimmerman situation. Sounds like you're hiring a bunch of George Zimmermans. You told us George Zimmerman was the worst person that ever lived. He was the devil incarnate. This sounds like you're putting an ad in the paper to recruit a bunch of George Zimmermans. Because some men ain't doing, man, that's the police, man. I ain't no police. Oh, that's some police act up, man. Man, nah, I can't do that, man. I ain't the police, man. But it sounds like you're recruiting a bunch of hombredos and a bunch of glacier gliders that you're telling they don't have the power to do this, they don't have the power to do that, but their hand is going to be forced. And when your hand is forced, you do things that you normally wouldn't.
They do not have arrest powers. They do not engage in criminal activity. They do not carry weapons. but they will have direct communication with our police department, with code enforcement, and other departments in the city. And if they see something, they will report it.
Only Miami Beach residents and business owners can be part of the program. Volunteers must pass a police background check. They'll be trained by police officers and must finish Citizen Police Academy. And they can't have a criminal record. Minor stresses this is not a vigilante program.
So there are numerous checks and balances to make sure that the volunteers are following protocol and complying and are doing what they're supposed to do. And certainly not anything like vigilantes.
When you gliders going to realize this, no matter how many checks you have, no matter how many balances you have, no matter how much you go over the plan and you fine tune it and you work out the kinks, you still got to deal with the Sun Man. Sun Man unpredictable, man. He was born and bred to destroy little plans like this. So I don't think it'll be long before one of these volunteer patrolmen or women is put in a situation. Somebody be around with a camera. And they'll make sure to upload the part that completely absolves the Sun Man of any kind of blame. And upload the part that makes the volunteer patrolman look like a savage beast, just messing with Sun Men for no reason. It's just odd that they're recruiting a team of George Zimmermans, man. It's odd, man. Some odd behavior, man. You pasty liberals are strange people, man.
So there are numerous checks and balances to make sure that the volunteers are following protocol and complying and are doing what they're supposed to do. And certainly not anything like vigilantes.
So the new Citizens Volunteer Patrol here in Miami Beach will see its official rollout tonight. But we're told patrols are already underway. Live on Miami Beach, I'm Christian De La Rosa, Local 10 News.